So back to Yashi's question, there are good days and there are bad days. Bad days are the ones that make you. How to not feel bad when you think you had a bad practice session. Guys, I'm going to tie that into a question young Emma from England asked me a few hours ago. She wrote in questions and discussions. Hi, Skulls. One of the big things I find myself struggling with when I bowl is that I always seem to beat myself up if I bowl a loose delivery, even if the majority of my overall spell has been good. Brackets, I'm a perfectionist. I've been working on trying to stop myself doing it, but I can't seem to find anything to help. Any help would be appreciated. So bad practice sessions, bad balls, same thing. So something that I want everyone to try and understand here, especially you younger players who are still pretty inexperienced. I know we've got some younger players here, Yash, Emma, others. We've got some older people. We've got a good mixture. However, the game is hard. If we're looking at doing a sort of an online program around mindset, I'm sort of planning it and thinking about that at the moment. And I was speaking to a good young player yesterday, and I was saying to him, if I was to put the first thought into any player I worked with, and we erased everything from their mind about cricket, and all I said to you is, this is the first thought, and we're going to build on top of that. First thing I teach any player is the game is difficult. You're going to have good days, but you can more often than not, you're going to have bad or challenging days. As you get better, you start playing against better opposition. You always play against someone who's of a similar level of skill to you. You get better, you move up the levels. You move up the levels and you start playing against other players who are as good as you. So you look at Test cricket, they're competing against other Test players. So they're competing against the best in the world. First grade cricket, Premier cricket, you're competing against other first grade cricketers. So, and it's always, as I've already said tonight, it's always one-on-one. It's a contest. And sometimes that other person, the opponent, is going to get the better of you. It doesn't mean they're better than you or they're always going to be better than you, but in that moment, they might get the better of you. So, and Emma, to your point, we are human beings, and as human beings, we all make mistakes. We are not robots. We are not programmed to drive without sort of veering off the road or making mistakes. We make mistakes because when our attention and our concentration goes to something else, we don't perform our skill as well as we can. And unless we've trained our body, as I've spoken about already, for thousands and thousands of hours, our body doesn't have the muscle memory to do what we want it to do repeatedly over and over and again. We make mistakes. So guys, I'd love you young players to really deeply understand this. Really deeply understand that the game is difficult and you're going to make mistakes. Because if you understand that and you believe that, when you have a bad net session or when you bowl a bad ball or bowl a bad over, it is much easier to overcome that. If you're a perfectionist, Emma, you said you are, that's great. It's good awareness that you know that, but you've got to beat that perfectionism out of you, because you can't be a perfectionist and be a successful cricketer, because you're going to constantly not think you're good enough. You're going to constantly be beating yourself up because you're never going to be perfect. No one in the cricketing world has ever been perfect. And unless someone becomes superhuman, I can't see anyone ever being perfect. We're always going to make mistakes, and perfectionism and mistakes don't go together. They're polar opposites. So you need to, Emma, really try and say to yourself, and it might be Monday to Friday before you play, it might be on the morning of the game, I'm going to make some mistakes today, and that's okay. That's okay. As a batter, you're going to miss hit a few. You're going to play and miss a few. You're going to not time them. You're not going to hit them in the middle. You might hit a couple in the air that go in a gap or go to hand. And as a bowler, you're going to bowl some loose deliveries, or you're going to bowl some good deliveries that get hit. I think the best players, when they understand the game's hard and they understand they're going to make mistakes, that happens, bad ball, bad shot, whatever, they move on very quickly. They just get on with it. They don't dwell on it. They don't worry about it. They don't beat themselves up for it. And that allows them to then focus on the next ball and execute their skill. If they're still dwelling on the last ball, if they're still beating themselves up over a mistake from the last ball, they're not going to perform at their best. They're going to make more mistakes moving forward. So Emma and Yashi, you're going to have bad net sessions. You're going to have bad days where things just don't quite feel right. Things just don't click. That's okay. That is okay. You'll learn from them and you'll be better off for actually doing it. You're never going to walk out of a net session feeling amazing every single time. A number of times I used to beat myself up as a younger player. I used to beat myself up and get frustrated. And then I've learned as I've gotten older, and this is why I'm trying to encourage you, it's okay to have a bad net session. That doesn't mean you're a bad player. That doesn't mean you're not very good. So please don't overvalue a bad net session, and also don't overvalue a really good net session. The great thing is that you've done the work, you've put in the work, and you should be constantly looking for ways, whether you think it was good or think it was bad, constantly be looking for ways to get better when you're training. Emma, in games, it's about moving on as quickly as you can, not dwelling. But guys, everyone understand this. The game is hard. You're going to make mistakes. So when they happen, move on. Move on. Don't dwell on it. Don't beat yourself up on it. So Yashi, Emma, hope that helps, legends.